spring football has wound down, and there's a lot of stories, right, on the back end of that. And one of the stories or stories all over the country are, high-profile analysts who know what they're talking about, not me, but guys like Joel Klatt and Scotty Swingler breaking down – that's right, Scotty, that's you – breaking down their top players in the NFL. Their top teams in the Big 12. So you hit me with Klatt's list yesterday. I'm curious as to. Okay, here it is. Here's his top 25. Okay, so the number one Big 12 team is BYU at
Correct.
14. And then 15 is Arizona State. Wow, look at this. There's a wave.
So here's what he said, and this is where
Baylor at 24, baby.
Where I would want to push back on Joel, and I think he's one of the best in the game, by the way.
Oh, there's no question.
I think he is just A++ in terms of analyst. I was thrilled he had Baylor in the top 25 because that tells me he pays attention. Because I think the normal national coverage guy is just not. Yeah. I think they're overlooking Baylor mostly.
I agree.
But then when he got to these other 4 Big 12 teams, he said, and I agree with him mostly, he said, the Big 12 is going to be very competitive. There's a lot of really good teams in the Big 12. I'm not sure there is a great team at this point in the Big 12. I think all that's fair. So then he goes, so I just tried to rank my Big 12 teams, and then I clumped them all together here in the middle because that's about where I think they'll be. But I want to know why Baylor wasn't part of that cluster. I want to know what to him separates Baylor from those other 4. And maybe it's just those other 4. I mean, they don't return more. Like Baylor returns all of its production on offense for the most part. So I'm curious why I think he rightfully acknowledged the Big 12's competitive, good, not great. We don't know who number 1's going to be. We don't know how high the best team's going to be.
Is it 20, by the way, goddamn, is 25, that's Oklahoma, right? That's not Utah.
Correct.
Yeah. Houston, Oklahoma, and Utah. Try figuring out those 3 logos real quick on the fly at a glance.
That's a great point.
It's tough. Okay.
No, that's Oklahoma. I think they're betting big on that quarterback. Bear the Truth says A&M really tale as old as time. Bear the Truth. Tale as old as time. Everyone every year thinks A&M's going to be something, and then they ain't nothing. I say that they were like 1 game out of the SEC championship.
Yeah, I mean,
last
come
year.
on,
like they were pretty good last year.
Yeah. So 24 for Baylor. I think BYU, honestly, I think if you want to say one team is maybe a little overrated, I would possibly say BYU. And here's why. Hang in there with me. BYU last year won a lot of football games. There was a lot of really good juju around that program.
They won a lot of close games.
I mean, dude, a lot of close games. And, Jake Retzloff was a huge part of that.
And he's back.
Yeah, he is back, and with him comes that magical aura and that ball bouncing your way type feel that we saw last year, right? I mean, there's something special, or this is what I want to say. Something special was going on last year around BYU football. Now, they failed to capitalize on it down the stretch because, let's face it, going wire to wire in the Big 12 is very difficult.
It's tough.
But BYU was having a straight magical year, right? Last season. And a lot of that had to do, and I really believe this, and we've talked about it here ad nauseum, but my experience covering football and being around football teams and on football teams, when the ball bounces your way early in the year, something starts to happen with your confidence, and it's great.
Yeah.
And it never supersedes the ability or the talent, but it certainly can play a role, right? That confidence, that enthusiasm, that mojo.
I mean, we saw it happen in reverse for Baylor.
Yes.
When they got on that 6-game run.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing, too, is Provo and BYU fans all over the country, they really get behind their Cougars. So, like, when this team starts to win, they really, really get hot. And there is something that just builds. And again, we mentioned it's like a tidal wave that follows this team. They are going to have to experience success early next season, right, to find that rhythm again. Let me call up their schedule real quick.
Scotty B says the schedule for BYU is tougher this season, and they won 4 one-possession games last year. To kind of speak to that.
And I actually did know that, and so that's tough, man. And, Jake Retzloff, had an amazing year too, right? So can he match that? Because the Big 12 has only gotten better in the offseason.
Right.
So it's
yeah. Like most of these teams are going to improve.
Yeah, they will.
Utah's not going to stay down.
Okay, so let's go. Okay, so actually, okay, let's check out BYU's schedule. Portland State win. Okay.
Yep.
Versus Stanford. Pretty cool too when you look at the Bachmeier bros
Win.
who just came to BYU from Stanford. That game will be in Provo as well. By the way, huge get for the BYU football program to get Tiger and Bear. Bachmeier. Tiger's the quarterback and Bear is the wide receiver.
Sounds like a Disney animated movie.
Tiger is the wide receiver and Bear's the quarterback. But Tiger's amazing. Like, I watched Stanford play a bunch of times last year. He's like a do-it-all wide receiver. I mean, I can't imagine. He is tailor-made for BYU, right? And he can also return kicks. And the younger brother, Bear, is a quarterback, I think Notre Dame, Oregon. He turned down offers from programs like that to commit to Stanford. And he's an incoming freshman, so he flipped his commitment. And there's another dude too. I think there's a Brock, but he's another a Brock Bachmeier. But I think he's still in grade
That's
school.
a word salad. Brock Bachmeier.
Yeah,
I would mess that up.
It is. But so BYU's got a lot to be excited about. And early on, their schedule is actually pretty forgiving because their toughest game early. Of course, you could say Stanford at home is difficult, but I think a bit of a trap could be going on the road to play in Greenville, North Carolina.
Guess who said that 3 minutes ago?
Who?
Scotty B.
He did. Yeah, that's a tough game. That East Carolina game is tough. And then right after that, you've got to go play at Boulder. And I don't really know. You see Joel Klatt, too. That's something to you can mention right now is you don't see Colorado there in that top 25.
Well, they lost a lot.
Yeah, they did lose a lot.
And I told you last week how much I believe in Caden Salter, but they are a question mark. Here's my question. So you could argue BYU is overrated, but I think they belong in this top 25 without question, okay? How are we putting Kansas State in this top 25? Can you explain that one to me?
No, I can't.
I think they were the most disappointing team in league play last year as far as expectations versus what happened.
Well, let me take you inside baseball there. There was something going on with Chris Kleiman, and it was, and this is I'm not talking out of school here, but there was personal stuff going on around his family.
I remember reading about.
Yeah, it wasn't, and the way he put it wasn't in his house, but it was something very close to his house, that was really affecting him. And I know that their offensive coordinator was their O-line coach, right? And so he went from being the O-line coach on the field to going up to the booth, and that sort of affected the way that their offensive line played. So you had that, and I think that O-coordinator actually took another job somewhere. But that led to a lack of maybe synergy on the field up front, definitely a lot of change. And the personal stuff for Kleiman made for a total uphill battle last year for Kansas State. And I think that you're doing it again, you take a dump on Avery Johnson, and I think I don't think it's warranted, Scotty.
Overrated.
I don't believe he is. He was a true freshman last year, and his ability to make defenses look pedestrian because they play on their heels against him.
But it's not, again, I'm not taking a dump on him. He wasn't in your top 5 Big 12 quarterbacks last week either, or number 6, you said.
Well, we did. We also.
So at best,
that was a flawed list.
So at best,
flawed list.
So at best, in your opinion, he's 7th in the conference, and I'd put him probably about 10th.
Okay, but let's look. Okay, here's one thing, and you mentioned the quarterbacks, and we do want to talk about Brett Yormark and his extension with the Big 12 as the celebration continues with the Big 12. But okay, so look at those Big 12 schools: BYU, Jake Retzloff, right?
Yep.
Arizona State, Sam Leavitt. Avery Johnson with Kansas State, Rocco Beck with Iowa State. Look, man, quarterback play rules the day, and you look right there. That's concrete evidence from last year that these teams will have.
But
going into the season, at least, strong quarterback play. I think it's going to be tough
but that's
for Retzloff
to
rise to the occasion once again.
If it's about the combination of quarterback play and what you showed on tape last season, there's no reason Baylor's 24 and Kansas State's 16.
Yeah, I agree. Baylor
has the best Cam says I'm cooking you. Baylor has the best quarterback in the conference.
Okay, here's the one thing I'll say. That is up for debate. I was actually pissed when I saw our boy McShay's first round. There was one guy from the Big 12 in the first round for McShay's 2026 first round NFL draft.
Yeah, that won't last.
Mock draft. No, it won't. And I was a little disappointed not to see Sawyer on there, especially because I voiced to him and expressed to him how good Sawyer is. Not that that means a lot to him.
The Cam Show comments, Avery Johnson isn't even the best Avery Johnson. And I agree with
Yeah,
him.
he is, dude. Right now he is. I mean, hey, dude, remember now, the Mavs were cooking with Avery in 2006, 2007.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but
that's the real Avery Johnson.
That was damn near 20 years ago.